what's going to happen? I'm going to show you the connection. Why this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, failed, who caused it to fail, and who benefited once it started to crash. The company's deposits with SVB are largely uninsured. At this time, the company does not know to what extent the company will be able to recover its cash on deposits at SVB. See, they're going to give them a certificate of deposit. Now, this happened in 1929 during the Great Depression. See, we got to go back to history, because if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it. So what happened in 1929, the Great Depression, when they first started crashing banks? They gave the customer a certificate of deposit, which showed, yeah, you had some money at our bank, but we don't have it at our branch. Take this certificate to the other branch and they'll honor it. But you'll get to the other bank and they say, nah, nigga, who sent you here? We ain't got your money. Go to the other branch. You'll go to that branch. They say, nah, nigga, wrong information. We ain't got your money either. Go to the other branch. And then after you get done playing bank musical chairs and shit, you find out that these niggas ran off with your money. It's perfectly legal, and the government ain't going to recover any of your money. That's happened several times in history, and we're looking at it yet again in 2023. It's crazy. Vox Media, the publisher of New York Magazine, The Verge, and Group 9 Media reportedly had a substantial amount of funds held in SVB. A person close to the matter told New York Times the company credit cards, which SVB issued, also reportedly stopped working. Nigga, you don't say. So wait a minute. You talking about these executives at the New York Magazine? They had a nigga moment. They go to use their credit card and, oop, I'm sorry, sir, it's declined. You looking around like, nigga, I got $100K salary. Run it again, ma'am. Use my platinum card. Boop. Sorry, sir, your card's declined. So you got these corporate executives that are catching the first day of declined cards. You gonna have some people jumping off the roof of their building. They just lost their life savings. They lost their retirement fund. This shit is not light. This ain't light, B. They bailed out the bank who stole the people's money, and the people don't recover their money. This is the part they not telling you when these bailouts happen. Getting back to it, you can't make this shit up. They just got a nigga moment. The company credit cards, which SVB issued, also reportedly stopped working. Vox has reportedly said the company won't face any disruption, which includes its payroll. Penske Media, which recently placed a reported $100 million investment in Vox, says it is ready if the company requires additional capital, but didn't foresee any issues. See, a lot of the companies don't know to what extent how much money they really lost, because they think a lot of it's insured, but you're going to find during the funny paperwork that they not insuring the money because them niggas ran off with the money. But it was a whole plan, just like 9/11 when they ran off with all the gold that was in the reserves of the Twin Towers. Nobody talks about that. Still to this day, what the fuck happened to the gold? If the so-called terrorists were killed, who got the gold? Where's the gold, buddy? Right, we still never talked about that. But as I say, always follow the bag. Moving right along, in a filing, Roku reported that SVB held roughly $487 million of the company's cash, right? Etsy, merchant on Etsy, have started receiving communications from the e-commerce company that they won't be receiving scheduled deposits. So you got a lot of people that deal with Etsy, right? It's an e-commerce store where basically small businesses can sell their products, their services, and Etsy's like a pay-through service. So they run their stuff through the bank. Their transactions were stopped. Many of the small business owners that trying to make their way back after this scamdemic, pandemic, this 3 years of bullshit, people are trying to make a living, and now their payments are being stopped because a bank was collapsed by the Fed. Let's continue. This delay was caused by the recent developments regarding Silicon Valley Bank. The emails to sellers read, who Etsy used to facilitate disbursement to some sellers, "We are working with our other payment partners to issue your deposits as soon as possible." On Saturday, an Etsy spokesman told the Daily Beast at Etsy, "Supporting our sellers is our highest priority, and we understand how important it is for the small businesses to be able to receive their funds when they need it." right. This is crazy. On Saturday, here we go. Yep. We're recently experiencing a delay in issuing payments to some sellers related to the unexpected collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. Our teams have been working around the clock to implement a solution, and we expect to pay sellers via our other payment partners within the next week. It's getting ugly. Roblox, right? Any of the parents that got children, your children play the game Roblox, right? That company has money invested in the bank as well. Online game platform Roblox held 5% of its $3 billion with SVB, the company said in a filing, which equates to roughly $150 million. The video company said SVB's collapse will have no impact on usual operations. Okay, see, a lot of these companies, they're talking, putting the cart before the horse, because a lot of them think that a lot of their deposits are insured. But this is where they're going to find out this shit's not insured. And this same thing happened in 2008. Circle, cryptocurrency firm Circle, had a massive $3.3 billion invested in SVB. The company revealed in a tweet. That's around 8% of the company's total $40 billion, which is held elsewhere. Man, moving right along. So this bank collapsed. And now let's look at the connection. New Yorkers woke up Monday to the news that a bank most have never heard of suddenly closed by state regulators. Its deposits guaranteed by the federal government, its stockholders' investments wiped out, and its executives sent packing. So you got a lot of executives that got fired. We can't pay you niggas. We can't pay you that nice salary. Your Hamptons apartment. Oh, that shit is done. Oh, your trip in Cancun, your trip to Nantucket, oh, that shit's canceled, buddy. The stockholders' investments wiped out. See, they lost a lot of people's money. So how does a bank get bailed out where they can continue operations, but they don't got to answer to the customers who lost their fucking life savings? Make this make sense. The collapse of Signature Bank is a story of an institution that succumbed to the allure of the cryptocurrency boom. Here we go with the connection. And then got swept up in the collapse. Just days earlier of Silicon Valley Bank, another regional bank that boomed by serving the tech industry. See, both of them were in bed with the tech industry. They were in bed with cryptocurrency. But remember, they were to give you the front that Bitcoin is so volatile and it collapsed. And remember, Bitcoin went all the way up to 60 racks. But that shit went up to 60 racks in the early 2010s. They did the same thing over. And what happened after that? We're recovering after the collapse of 2008. Same shit. They create the catastrophe and then they cash out. But while the crisis over this past weekend have no impact on the vast majority of New Yorkers, it could have worrisome ramifications for the city's real estate market. Pay attention here. See, all of this is connected. Remember this eviction moratorium shit, and they was just piling up the rent so the people can't pay it. Once they lift these moratoriums, and the landlords would be in debt and all this other shit, and they would need loans from the bank. But then what happens when the bank collapses? No loan for you. See what's going on? Then the banks get to seize the property. Oh my God, it's about to be a motherfucking real estate sale. They about to buy prominent real estate for pennies on the dollar. This is a domino effect here. While the crisis over the weekend will have no impact on the vast majority of New Yorkers, it could have worrisome ramifications for the city's real estate market, where the bank was a major lender to developers and landlords, especially those that own rent-regulated buildings. Now let's pay attention. Remember they had this rent fund, right? They had billions of dollars from this COVID. Remember the legislation they wrote up, stimulus money and all that crazy shit. And then they were supposed to give money to pay people's back rent because they put people out of work by creating this pandemic. So a lot of that money never was allocated to the tenants, never was allocated to the landlords. So it just kept building up. But a lot of these people that lived in these apartments, many people had, rent stabilized apartments, and a lot of the landlords were trying to kick them out, not fixing stuff in the apartments, so force the people out so they could raise the rent. So now a lot of these rent stabilized properties that were locked into contracts that had ties with the bank, when the bank collapsed, the bank forecloses on the property. So now the landlord loses the property and everybody get kicked out. And the new owner can charge whatever for the property. And this is how you force people out into the streets.